Let's take a look at the waiver wire for fantasy basketball. Who are the guys being added and dropped? Who should we consider? Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and a resolution is expected in the coming weeks. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free. We're available on all platforms, and we are part of the number one sports podcast network, the Locked On Podcast Network. So thank you for pushing us up to number one. All right, we are here to talk about the fantasy basketball waiver wire. Have a look at the dudes who have been added and dropped and what makes sense and what doesn't. So let's get into that right now and take a look. I probably should have addressed a couple of news things there. Maybe we'll do that. Let's reverse course back to here. Two things. Chris Paul being sent home by the Clippers. Okay, I have no idea. I'm sure at some point we'll get some understanding of what went on. It seems like it has to be something that Chris Paul spoke up about something, complained about something, because he didn't ask to be sent home. And they just said, right, you're being too disruptive or something. I don't know. Which is a terrible way to treat a franchise legend who's on a retirement tour and your team's going nowhere, and he's clearly not the reason they're going nowhere. Because they can't waive him at this point because of apron stuff. Because if they waived him, they'd be down under the minimum roster number, and they don't have enough space under the first apron to be able to sign somebody to get them back up to the roster maximum. So he's just going to be on the roster and sitting around doing nothing. So that's weird. The second thing is this Giannis Antetokounmpo situation where Shams just tweeted out that Giannis is approaching the front office and the team to begin conversations about what his future holds and what the best fit is, whether it's staying or going elsewhere. Now, in terms of that, that's big news across the NBA landscape. For fantasy, there's nothing you can do. You don't do anything here. For a number of reasons. Giannis is Giannis, right? Every time you look at something and there is 5, 6, 7 outcomes, it's pointless trying to figure it out. And here's why. Your first thing is Giannis going to be traded? Look, I don't know. I've got no idea. Is it a higher chance of him being traded now than it was last season? Yes, of course. But, okay. He might get traded. He might not. Then the next thing is, where does he get traded? I don't know. No idea. It could be one of, I won't say 29 teams because that's unrealistic. Maybe it's one of 5 teams. So there's multiple different options there. And then you go, what would happen to Giannis' fantasy value? Probably nothing. But then the question would be, who comes back? Because you can say, well, I'm going to add this player from the Bucks because Giannis is getting traded. But you know, if Giannis is getting traded, there's probably 3 or 4 players coming back. And there'll be different situations with Milwaukee, and they might make other moves to move on from other players in that scenario. So you just don't know. You don't know if he's being traded, where he's being traded, and who would be coming back in that trade. So you can't grab guys in advance. You can't stash guys in advance. You can't do anything. You just sit there and go, okay, cool. When it happens, we'll figure it out. There's nothing you can do with this Giannis situation apart from be like, okay, that's the thing. That's it. Can't do anything. If you've got an idea of what you can do, please leave it below in the comments. I already know right now I'm going to disagree with it, but go and do it. Now, I guess if your obvious thing would be make sure Kevin Porter's rostered, yeah, obviously. He just needs to be rostered in general. But the fallout from a Giannis move or non-move, there's no way to have any sort of clarity to make any sense of any move. Now let's talk waiver wire. Who are the most added players? Over the last 48 hours, a lot of these you'll be expecting, I guess. Number one is Ryan Nembhard. We're going to get a really interesting performance today, I think. And by interesting, I don't mean that it's good or bad. It just means we'll see. What do they do? He's going to start, guaranteed. But 23 minutes? 30 minutes? 8 points? 18 points? 3 assists? 8 assists? No idea. No idea. He was very good last game. Hasn't been that way every game. Adding him makes sense, but I don't have any long-term confidence in it. Jaylon Tyson's been added. And while Jarrett Allen is out, yes, absolutely, he has that opportunity. But he needs 2 guys out. And there is currently 2 guys out, so that's fine. The next one is Juice McBride, who's playing well enough. I'm not 100% convinced on Juice, even in the short term here. And even like when OG comes back, I don't really see him doing it. For now, it is useful to have McBride on your roster, but it's not the most exciting thing. And the next most added player is Naji Marshall. And I thought, okay, that's interesting. PJ Washington's out, so it makes sense. But I went and looked at Naji's numbers. They're actually really good. He's the 98th ranked player over the last 2 weeks. That's ridiculously good. Now, obviously, guys have been in and out of the lineup during that time. It's not an entirely sustainable run. In fact, it's completely unsustainable. He's hitting 67% on his twos. His true shooting number is about 8 percentage points higher than what it's been at any point in his career. He is averaging 29 minutes a game over the last 2 weeks at 13.6 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. They're good numbers. But it is fueled by really, really high shooting numbers. While PJ is out, his floor is raised by minutes going up. And then when PJ plays, his floor will drop and Naji becomes more of a streamer unless he continues to go on hot streak shooting runs like he is at the moment. So it makes sense that he's been added given PJ's absence, but even though those numbers look really good, I'm a bit skeptical of that being a long-term solution. And the next most added player is Kris Dunn, who over the last week or so is playing better despite being a starter for the last 5 weeks or whatever. He's been bad in most of those weeks, but he's been good recently. And obviously Chris Paul's not there. Chris Paul was getting between 10 to 12 minutes a night. I think most of that just goes to someone like Cam Christie, or you get it to Jamal Telford, or just one of those randoms, Colonel Kobe Sanders maybe, just a bunch of those random guys. Because there's no other real point guards, and I don't think Kris Dunn's getting an extra 12 minutes a night to play 40 a night. So I don't think it impacts Dunn all that much. Although, again, Dunn is performing at a higher level at the moment anyway, so maybe you can consider him at the very least a stream guy. In terms of the most added guys on Yahoo over the last 15 hours or whatever it is, number 1 is Spencer Jones. That is, I won't say it's the epitome of chasing. There's a chase to it because he was awesome in the last game. But all Jones has been doing is just shooting incredibly well. And when the shots are going in at an incredible level, David Adamon is playing in more minutes, which is making the other stuff look a little bit better. I'm fairly certain that Jones is going to continue to start. But is he going to be good enough to keep this run up? Like, almost certainly not. Nobody was thinking about Spencer Jones at all until the last game. That's it. Every other game is a starter. That's not true. The game before that was not bad. But every other game has not elicited any sort of response. So I'm not sure about that one. The next one is Mr. Black. Anthony Black is playing really well, and while Paolo remains out, he is the guy over Tristan da Silva, so absolutely can roster him. Noah Clowney, the most added player. That's because people dropped him for whatever reason. The reason is they made mistakes. Go and add him. Big Boom AJ Green has been playing really well. His assists are up. His threes are up. He is no more than a streamer to me. But while he is running on a hot streak like this, you can at least consider him, but he's absolutely not someone I'm just grabbing and sticking on the roster and holding and keeping him there the whole way through. And the last one is Ayo Dosunmu, and that makes a lot of sense to me as well. Given the absence of Kobe White, given the absence of Kevin Huerter, given the continued absence of Isaac Okoro, Dosunmu's value is up. Long term it won't be, but for the short term, it is there. So you add him. It makes total sense. We've got more guys to look at, the guys that have been dropped and some must rosters and droppable guys, all that sort of stuff. Today's episode, though, it is brought to you by Robinhood. What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house, it's you participating in a live market. You can buy and sell your positions live all game long, using your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action, so when momentum shifts, you can move with it. You always knew the game, but you never had that dynamic way to apply that knowledge, and now you can actually take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer a spectator. Play by play, you decide. Trade every play with Robinhood. Now available across the US. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. We're talking fantasy basketball waiver wire here. we might as well get into the next list of players. We're talking about the guys that have been dropped. And we're going to go through these to see how much sense it makes, why it may have happened, and if there's anything to capitalize on from other people's mistakes. The most dropped players on Basketball Monster are Brandon Williams at number 1. I think there's a 50-50 chance that Williams plays more than Ryan Nembhard today, but dropping him absolutely is okay. Adem Bona, the next most dropped player, because yes, Joel Embiid rested the last game, and yes, there is a back-to-back coming up, Thursday, Friday, but Drummond is the guy that's in the driver's seat again. So you don't have to hold on to Bona at all. Yves Missy's been dropped, and it's like you guys are just... You're trying to make me happy. I like that. I like being made to feel happy. I like being pleasured in that way. So dropping Yves Missy is great. It's fantastic.
Get that garbage out of here.
And I look at the next most dropped name, and I go, wow, you guys really do like me, because you've dropped Duncan Robinson.
Get that garbage out of here.
And he was just way too highly rostered. There's no need for it. He's currently injured. He was a 3-point streamer. And then I go to the 5th most dropped name, and it's unbelievable. Yeah, Rui Hachimura's been dropped.
Get that garbage out of here.
Why it took this long, I got no idea. Absolutely no idea. But it makes sense, and I like it, and that is how we really move these emotions to a higher level. What about on Yahoo, who's been dropped? Anyone there to really get me cranking? Number 1 is the chicken. Cedric Howard. Yeah, why not? Bro's barely a top 250 player. We loved what he did early in the season. I'm annoyed that my skepticism of what he did early in the season reverted too quickly. And then I bought in because it's not real. And he will be better than what he currently is. I've got no doubt about that. But I actually don't care to wait. The next one is Bilal Coulibaly. I have not been on Bilal Coulibaly all season, so absolutely he's a drop. Modi Muzi. Yes, there are injuries with Steph out. Butler, who got hurt last game. But D'Anthony Melton is returning today. And people are going to ask that question, hey, do we add D'Anthony Melton? But let me, again, remind you. D'Anthony Melton is coming off an ACL. He'll miss back-to-backs, I'm certain. He'll have minutes restrictions. And that is now another name in the guard mix to add to Pajimski, Moody, Heald, Curry, not Steph, the other one, Seth. Who else is in there? Pat Spencer, Gary Payton. There's like 7 guys that can play in that role now. So will D'Anthony Melton play 25 minutes tonight? I doubt it. Will he do it sometimes? Sure. Is D'Anthony Melton the level of impact player that he was in the past? No, he's not. He's older and he's coming off another knee injury. So I think if you add D'Anthony Melton, you'll add him and you'll sit there and you go, it's taking a long time here. What am I doing? It's just burning a roster spot. And it's not like he just comes in and waltzes into I am a clear starter and there's no one else here. There is not a worse position in the NBA than to be a guard in Golden State because there are 8 guys that Steve Kerr can use in that spot despite the injuries. And I'm not even including when Steph returns. So, yeah, that's D'Anthony Melton. You can grab him. Like, we know what he's done in the past, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, whatever it was, all right? We know how good he has been. It is going to require a lot to get there. And coming off an ACL, I'm not interested in waiting on it. So anyway, dropping Moses Moody, totally makes sense. Totally makes sense. Stream guy only. Don Barlow. Yeah, all right. With Oubre out, his value is up. And there is a back-to-back coming up, which is going to make him more interesting. But I understand the frustration, and the hold on him is not necessary. And the next one is Julian Champagny. Now, I probably would have held on to Champagny, given the fact that Stephon Castle and Victor Wembanyama still remain out. I don't think there was a need to move off of him that quickly. And I believe they're in the middle of a back-to-back, which makes no sense to really drop him in that spot. But he wasn't very good yesterday. And those big games that he had a couple of games ago were outlier good performances. That's one I sort of do disagree with. I think I probably would have held on to him in most situations. What about must roster guys? Now, I want you to be ready. I want you to be ready right now to say, they're all taken in my league. That's the point. That's the point. The point is that they are taken in your league. And the other point is that you have a look and you go, they're not taken in my league, so I've got to grab them immediately. I want the aim to be here for every single person watching and listening to this show to see these 5 names and go, Josh, they're all rostered. And I go, thank God. Because that means your league is switched on. and it means your league is competitive and active. So, we're going to run through the 5 names. I'm preparing you here because someone's going to say, I like other must rosters because these guys are rostered. The reason they are rostered is because they are must roster and they shouldn't be on your wire so your league knows what they're doing. These 5 names. Reed Shepherd. Kevin Porter Jr. And why did I pick these 5 names? They're all under 50% on Yahoo. Reed Shepherd. Kevin Porter Jr. The Pastel de Nata, Nemeish Keita. Derek the Blizzard Queen, yes. And the Big Ragu, Dante DiVincenzo. Have a look. I'll give you some time. Let's have a look. Have a look. Are you on your waiver wire? Adam. Done. Simples. Shall we take a look at guys that I consider droppable? And before you get your old mate, your little fella, in a knot, what do I mean? I mean, you can drop him. You don't have to. I don't know why John Kuminga is rostered in as many spots as he is. And you could say, well, Jim Butler's out. And that's true. If I had John Kuminga on my team right now and I had left him there and said, oh, God, I forgot to drop him, I'd wait to see just what happens with Butler because he could just start the next game, Johnny. But he's been terrible. He's playing barely 15 minutes at the moment. But as always, when I say droppable, if you are in the scenario where you're looking at that must roster list and Derek Queen is on your waiver wire, you go, Jesus, Josh just said I needed to add him. But while Butler's out, maybe I hold Kuminga. No, you drop Kuminga and you add Queen. And sure, Kuminga might have a game or two that it looks good with Butler out. But you're talking more, when we're talking droppable, it's like, do you, if I could put Rui Hachimura here, yeah, you do it immediately and you take zeros instead of having him on your roster. You do that. But these players, John Kuminga, Anthony Simons, you don't have to hold them. They are easily expendable in your standard 130 and 156 deep leagues. You just get rid of them. And that's where we get to the next one, because you'll go, Josh, this is absolutely stupid. This man dropped 30 points yesterday, the pencil, Harrison Barnes. Barnesy! And that's true. And guess what? If I dropped Harrison Barnes today, I still get yesterday's game. I get it. I don't lose it. We often, and I'm using the royal we often will go, well, I can't drop him. He played well yesterday. Sure you can. Of course you can. Because you don't lose that game. After every game finishes, you're looking forward. That happened. Done. In the books. Thank you for the good game. Thank you for the bad game, Rui Hachimura. Great. Thank you. Now what happens? And it's all about, is there a great option sitting on my wire that I need to go and add? And will I miss it if I lose Harrison Barnes? Understanding that he might have 20 points on 4 shots in the next game. And you go, well, shouldn't have dropped him. But when we're talking about the overall body of work and the overall value of a player, when you need to make a snap move, a snap decision, you often have to do those sort of things. Colin Sexton. Yeah, Brandon Miller is out at the moment. That doesn't mean that I think that Sexton has to be rostered. He doesn't get big jumps in these spots. He'll have some okay games, and LaMelo will sit some games. That is all true. But I don't think that he needs to just be held onto. And the same goes with Triple H. Jaime Jaquez Jr. You don't need to be holding on to Jaquez. You can, and you can wait to see how it plays out and how he recovers and where his minutes come from. But the way the team looks, with Hero there, with Powell there, with Bam there, with Wiggins there, he's not A, playing enough, B, getting enough usage, or C, shooting at that extremely high level. So therefore, he is expendable. But if you showed me your roster and Jaime Jaquez was on it, if you showed me your roster and you had Harrison Barnes on it, especially because of yesterday, if you showed me your roster and you had John Kuminga on it and you added him because Butler, or you held him because Butler got hurt, I'd say, okay, that's fine. Whatever. It's totally reasonable. But they're sitting there that if you need to move on and stream through a spot, I don't think it's going to hurt. That's the idea of droppable. And I know that most of you, I hope, know that by now. Today's episode, it is brought to you by Game Time. The World Cup is coming back to North America for the first time since 1994. And there's now 48 teams in the World Cup. It is the largest ever. But let's be honest, getting tickets is usually the hardest part. That's where the Game Time app is clutch. Finally giving fans the real advantage when it comes to snagging seats to the World Cup. Yes, with Game Time, you can track price drops in real time, Get alerts when great seats open and buy tickets the moment that they hit the app. It puts the power back in your hands and makes going to the World Cup realistic instead of impossible. You pick a game, you tap on a section, and you can have your tickets locked in within minutes. No confusion, and no hunting for the fine print. And the seat view feature is a game changer. You'll see exactly what the pitch looks like from the seats that you choose. So take the guesswork out of buying World Cup tickets in every match, concert, and event with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download the app, make an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA, for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go, Game Time. So we're talking fantasy basketball waiver wire. Let's take a look at some guys that over the last week are inside the top 100 and players that I haven't mentioned yet, just to see whether there's any importance in looking at this, because Marvin Bagley has had 2 starts with Alex Sarr out, and he's the 67th ranked player. He had a 20-point game and a 5-block game in there. Why is this important? Because the game before that, he was a DMP. I thought, okay, maybe Tristan Vukcevic has taken over, but no, it's back to Bagley. So as long as Sarr is out, Bagley is producing. Now, Marvin Bagley is not this good. Even if he is a starter, he's not that good. He's not going to block shots like that or score like that. That's not going to happen. But he has established himself that if Alex Sarr is out, we add Marvin Bagley. The next one is a guy who's been very good, and that's Cam Spencer. 75th ranked player over the last 2 weeks. So over the last week. I feel like every time I do one of these waiver wire shows, Cam Spencer gets mentioned. Because with Morant out, and Jerome and Pippen obviously, Spencer's just playing well. Him and Vince Williams continue to split time. He's shooting incredibly well, which will probably come down, but he's getting good assists. He's in the spot at the moment, Spencer, where in 14-team leagues, you just need to be rostering him. And in 12-team, 156 deep leagues, he's not out of place because he just keeps getting it done as a top 100 guy. Long term, no, obviously not. But in the short term, I think we're ignoring Spencer a little bit too much. He's putting up good numbers, and I don't really see why they're going to drop off. I have got 5 other names to talk to you guys about. So we might as well talk about them now. Who are these other mystery names? Number 1 is Trey Jones. Jones, at the beginning of the season with Kobe White out and someone else out as well, he was really good. Good assist numbers, good steals, shot the ball well. He got injured. Some other players came back and he struggled. But there's a lot of guys out. Herter is out. Kobe White is out. Isaac Okoro is out. So Jones' value is back up. You got to go and add him at this point. Him and Ayo Dosunmu are the clear adds. AJ Mitchell is a name that I think is worth discussing. We've discussed him quite a bit as we move forward. And I don't know. I think it's relatively obvious about Mitchell and what's going to happen eventually. The problem is that every time we talk about the Thunder, 3 guys are out. So at the moment, Jalen Williams came back, but Hartenstein went out. And Caruso is hurt. And then Lou Dort missed. Even saying all of this, as much as we might like AJ Mitchell, and we do, he's 144th over the last 2 weeks. He's played just 24 minutes a night. And he's done it while shooting 55 from the field, an incredibly high number. So I know it's been an exciting thing to talk about how good AJ Mitchell has been this season. There is no reason for him to be a must-roster player at all. We are talking scenarios where there are just a bunch of guys out. And he has scored double digits in every single game apart from 2. And one of them was the game he left after 5 minutes. But overall, I think there's just a level of overrating what AJ is doing. And even with almost optimal scenarios in terms of who is out, he's still not blowing us away. For the season, he is not a top 100 player. And he's averaged 27 minutes a night. And you go, Josh, but that still can play as a 12-team guy. It's true, it can. But think about all the guys that have needed to be out to make that best case scenario possible for Mitchell, just to still not be a top 100 guy. And that's where I go, I can't see any way that even when you get 1 or 2 trickle backs, that he's going to be able to maintain that number. The next one we want to talk about is Eris Bailey, Ace in Utah, who is playing much better. There are a few things, I think, in what Ace Bailey is doing at the moment that are a little bit unsustainable. I still believe that his value translates to a points league much better than a category league. But in saying that, over the last 2 weeks, this big fella's the 95th ranked player in head-to-head leagues, in category leagues. And he's doing it in just 26 minutes a night. So how's he doing it? Well, 53, 43, 100 splits. There you go. There's how he's doing it. He's hitting 67% on his twos, not going to hold. He's hitting 43% on his threes, not going to hold. He's at 100% from the line, not going to hold. And you know why it's not going to hold? Because this man never takes free throws. That is a bad sign. 2 free throw attempts in the last 8 games. 8 games. He's taken 2 free throws. He hit them both, but that's it. He just has not got to the line at all. His defensive numbers are also elevated, largely because he got 2 steals and 3 blocks in the last game. Prior to that, it was 0-0, 1-0, 1-1, 1-0. And he had a 3-steal game back on the 21st of November. So Bailey is doing good stuff. The last 6 games, he's at 14, 3, and 2. But that problem there is real. 3 rebounds, 2 assists. He's at 1.3 steals and 0.7 blocks. Great. Absolutely fueled by last game. And the shooting is out of control. It's so high. And it's not going to hold. So while it looks like Ace Bailey is a must-roster player, I don't think he is. I just simply don't think he is. In a category league, you can hold him and you can wait. I've got no problem with that. In a points league, same. But what he is doing at the moment is very It's And I think it's actually going to get worse before it gets better. We need to talk about Jaden Ivey as well, because I jacked him off yesterday.
Get that garbage out of here.
Because it's just not good. The first game that Jaden Ivey played this season was the most minutes that he played in a game. And I know that he's very rusty. He hadn't played in over a year. He had the broken leg and then came back and had a knee injury. That's not a good scenario. But do we care? Why do we care? He's been back now for 6 games. And he's averaging 13 minutes a night. He played 15 minutes in the first game. Then it was 11. Then it was 14. Then it was 10. Then it was 14. Then it was 14. He went scoreless in the last game in 14 minutes. He's shooting 39% from the field. His usage has dropped in the last 3 games, with 2 games under 20%. And the thing about Jaden Ivey is that even if he gets to 30 minutes, is he even going to be worth it? I think the answer is no. What are we waiting on? Sure, he might get to 30 minutes and supplant Duncan Robinson and limit Dennis Jenkins and start getting this big role. He might do all of that. But how long that takes, I don't know. And then when he gets there, will it have been worth it? I'd say probably not. Maybe in a points league, but I would much rather drop Jaden Ivey now, reassess it in 3 weeks, and if I miss out, I'm going to go, okay. I don't think I'm missing out on that much, to be honest. So I've got no problem dropping him. The last thing I want to talk about is a rookie in Brooklyn. Not Jago Gelman, because people are excited about Danny Wolf. And I just wanted to quickly mention the name Danny Wolf. He did take minutes off Day'Ron Sharpe last game, which was very interesting. And his last 2 games have been 22, 4 and 4 with 5 threes. That was the game against the Bucks. That was a very weird game. He actually started the second half, I believe, and played a ton of minutes. And the next game, he played 19 minutes, which is more realistic, but it did still require him to play the entirety of the fourth quarter. That was against the Hornets. And he had 10 and 7 with a 3. I know that people are starting to pay attention. His roster numbers are rising. I would be a little cautious about buying in too much on Dan Wolf. Just because the role is not that clear. You've got Clowney at the 4. You've got Claxton at the 5. You've got Sharpe in that mix as well. At some point, Wolf will get a chance to play a little bit more. But he's a weirdo sort of a player that I think could have Derek Queen level defensive issues. His G League numbers, he's averaging 20 points a game, shooting 33% from 3 and hitting 2 a game. He's at 78 from the line, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, a block and a steal. They're all incredibly good fantasy numbers. His fantasy appeal is huge. And holding Danny Wolf, it would need to be in one of your stash formats. Roto, large benches, weekly leagues, games caps. One of your stash formats. And it's going to take time to get there. Because, again, Nick Claxton is ahead of him. Noah Clowney is ahead of him. And there's no real reason why he's going to overtake either of those guys any point soon. But I wanted to bring the name up because he had a couple of good games in a row. If you're in a deeper league, a 240 roster player league, a double on-ish, you can consider it. You can consider Danny Wolf in those spots. But pushing into standard league value is probably one that's going to require weirdness, injuries, tanking, whatever. That is a waiver wire show. Let me know down below your thoughts on those players, any other players you want thoughts on. Love all that. Subscribe, thumb it up, double bang. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.